By DJ Event Planner, Electra Voice, DJ Trivia and DJ Bingo, ProX Direct, NLFX Pro, Promo Only, Odyssey Cases, Perfect Portals, JMOZ Lighting, Instant DJ Requests, and our DJ and TV Insiders. This is John Young from DJ and TV. Thanks for watching.
Hello. Welcome to the Tuesday Night Music Show. You know, sometimes the interesting things happen before the show, and it's probably a good thing that most of you don't see the things that happen before the show sometimes. And, you know, I told John it was fine. I actually told Buddy he could stay. Anybody wanted to stay could, but it is every man for himself, because we have with us tonight the fabulous Jay Brennan from Swig Temecula. It's all clean shaven tonight. I'm kind of digging that look. It's nice.
Yeah, the beard wasn't working.
Hey, it was fine. It was fine.
As Jack Nicholson once said, "Hey, if that did it for me, you'd be my guy."
But you know, you're a good-looking man either way.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate that.
Of course, Howie, the producer, is here as always. Happy Howie.
Hey.
And John Kelly is going to try to keep up.
Who's John to Howie?
I don't know, but. There's two things.
Drink anyway
tonight.
Yeah, I'm kind of thirsty. Road dog. There you go.
Oh, there it is.
My road dog.
My
road dog. Got to hang that R.
You're going to be my road dog in a few weeks.
Soon to be on the road again.
I like how the British say massive. It's kind of the same thing. Road dog. It's similar.
Yep.
So, you know, if we're going to be taking advantage of the funds that the BBC has to offer, we must say something about music in the show, because it is called the music show. Otherwise, we won't get our grant from the BBC or the CBC for that matter. So, yeah, we need to say something about music.
All right.
I'm at a loss. No. I was going to just talk about how I feel when I'm DJing and how emotional I get when I hit the right chords with the audience.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why I do it. I think that's the reason that I go out there and I still do this, and why I love what I do. And I always kind of knew that I like turning people on to music, right? But I got a confession to make. I've been watching some of these reaction videos on YouTube, specifically from people who are more enlightened. They kind of know what they're listening to. They're younger, but they're not familiar with the music. There's one person in particular. She calls herself the Charismatic Voice. Have you ever seen her?
Yes, that was the one I was gonna say.
Yeah.
She's an opera singer.
She's an opera singer.
Yeah. Her name's Elizabeth.
Yep.
Yes.
Elizabeth. And she's checking out Rush for the first time.
Yeah, she's awesome.
And I mean, most of the people are sitting here like Tool and, you know.
She does a lot of metal, a lot of harder rock.
Yeah, it's almost a gag to see what the opera singer has to say about it. But she did radio and it moved her.
Yeah.
Really moved her. And I cried. I brought me to tears.
Yeah.
She's very open minded.
Brought me to tears watching her react to this.
Yeah, on a few of them, it brought me to tears because of the way she explained it, and you could tell she wasn't some fake thing like a couple of people like listening and going, well, it means this, and it's like, whoa, they're totally off base. I mean, she nails it every time. She knows the chord progression, the key that they're singing in, and you could tell by her face, she's like, oh. And then she goes, oh, my God, and backs it up.
I get it.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. You've got to watch her listen to Pantera, Cemetery Gates.
I did.
Because there's a high section at the end where the guitar and the vocals hit the same high notes, and she is flabbergasted. Just, you can tell, but she starts to laugh out of joy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And the other one, if you've never checked, is a thing called, I think it's a show's called The Daily Doug. He's a classical composer and orchestra conductor. So like the song starts and he immediately goes, okay, A minor. Okay, they're going G, so they're going 1, 3, 5. Okay. Like he's very, very musical, but he listens to, again, a lot of metal, a lot of Primus, Rush, and he tears it down from a technical end of it, but he also gets a lot of joy out of it, but not as much as Elizabeth does.
The charisma, and she's so genuine too. I mean, you can tell it's she's not putting it on. It's a first listen.
She's lived in this like little opera bubble her whole life. She went to conservatory music. You can just kind of, know that she was born in that sweater. I mean, you can just tell just by who she is. She's not faking it. This is real. She's never heard this stuff. It might as well be a different world for her. But the one I got a kick out of with her too, the other one was she wasn't familiar with Led Zeppelin and she wasn't familiar with Heart, but she watched the Kennedy Center.
I saw them both.
Stairway to Heaven. And she thought it was amazing. Everything about it was amazing.
That's the Ann Wilson one, right?
The Heart. Yeah. And then somebody had suggested, go back and listen to some early Heart. Her voice is different. And she does Barracuda. And she's like, she was just blown away. It was so cool. But anyway, just seeing that, got me thinking, this is why I do what I do.
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah.
This is why, and how many times is this happening during one of my performances when I'm playing a song that, I don't know, maybe somebody's grandmother requested that's from the 70s and it's really cool. And the grandkids come out. Is this happening real time in front of my eyes and I don't even know it? Or these kids are hearing these songs for the first time? How cool is that?
It is. It's amazing. It's amazing. I've mentioned this once before about the one picnic where I had this young guy come up to me and go, whoa, blew me away. High five. Nice transition. Because I went old, new because of the demographics. And I was like, I was on top of the world after that, When I was a kid, and you guys know that I shared a room with my brother until, I was like 12. But, he was quite a bit older than me, and he was into the really cool car stereo. He was into the really cool home stereo. So we always had a cool stereo in our bedroom, and sound was important to my brother. Now, he didn't know much about sound, but a good stereo was important to him. And good speakers in his car were important to him. Right.
I liked music. He liked sound. It rubbed off on me. So I wanted the best music and the best sound. And when I started DJing, the sound wasn't very good back then. You weren't able to reproduce the sound from like a record on a 1200, going through some, speakers that were built for a band to play through. Right. It's gotten good now. And I always thought music was a 2-part presentation thing. The songs you pick, the programming you do. So the song's got to be right, but the sound's got to be right too.
Right.
Of course you need the right song, but the sound is so important. If you have both of those things and you nail both of those things, what an experience you can bring to your audience. Especially if you consider that there might be somebody out there hearing something for the very first time and it's blowing their mind, much like she was just so excited to hear this. And it was just like, wow, where did this come from? How come I didn't know this song?
She even mentions, okay, before you listen, put headphones on. And she would say you could hear
the panning and
the panning. Yeah.
The only time those shows bother me is when, to me, it's obvious.
Oh yeah, and
I don't like. I know you watch a lot of them. Yeah. I followed your trend a little, and I'd get these young kids like, "Yeah, man, never heard of this," and I'm like, "Okay, you have."
Yeah, but when it's Crazy Train, like you've never been to a football game ever,
like you've never, like wow, what's this crazy Darude sandstorm? It's like you lost.
Really? How did you miss that for?
And Elizabeth, the thing I like about her is she'll say, "I'm not that familiar with, but I've heard this.
I've heard of."
Like she won't discount it. Because if she came on and said, "I've never heard of Led Zeppelin," I'd be like, "Okay, I don't care where you grew up. You you've been so sheltered, your opinion becomes a little bit less important. But she's a great singer. There's videos on her channel of her performing, but she's full on Pavarotti opera.
Sure.
She's not doing
It's pretty
pop.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, she's just opera. She's a tenor or whatever, and that's what she does.
Well, just full disclosure here, I don't watch all of them. A lot of them are crap. I watch a few of them. So a couple that I do watch, and they're younger.
Right.
And younger Black kids especially aren't as familiar with rock because they didn't grow up with it.
Right.
So I believe that. There's a girl, her name's Angela. She's got a channel called Day One Reacts. And she did one last week. I cried. It was a long version too. She's doing movie soundtracks this month. And she did Kenny Loggins' I'm All Right. But she did the long version with the intro in it. It blew her head off. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. And all the changes in that song are so good. They really are. I mean, it brings me back to the first time I heard that song.
It's a great song.
You're kidding. You're changing it again and it's good. And oh my gosh, what are you doing here? Amazing. It was just warmed my heart to watch you react to that. So I don't watch them all.
Those become special. And I've seen ones where they'll take something emotional. There's a couple of guys that are friends, and it's probably one of the channels you've mentioned, Brian, where they'll listen to like a Stevie Ray Vaughan song, but something emotional and slow. And you just see them kind of like, whoa, like, what's this? They did one where they did Steve Vai for The Love of God. And it's even though there's no words, it's very emotional. Like if you close your eyes and listen to For Love of God, it's going to affect you somehow. And these guys look like they were on the verge of tears because they got it. And I can appreciate when somebody opens their ears.
It's fun to watch it when they get it. That's
when they get it. That's when it's fun. Yeah,
I think in my mind, and I think we can all kind of relate to this. We're older and we look back, and I think every generation thinks that their music was the best music. Every generation thinks that.
Sure.
It doesn't matter what generation you are. Your grandparents thought their music was the best music, and our kids think their music is the best music. Well, my kids don't. My kids like older music, but
right.
But
and there's good stuff in every generation. Yeah.
I do this thing called check yourself. There's so many times that I think I know what I know. But then I got to say, hey, wait a minute. Am I right? What's another point of view on this? So it's so cool to see people listen to Kenny Loggins' I'm All Right or Rush Through to the Radio and get it just like I got it. It's almost it's redemption that, you know what? My music was really good. My generation's music was good.
No, yeah, but you kind of, in a way, at least I do, there's a romanticism of it where you think, man, I hope when the camera goes off, they go to iTunes or YouTube or somewhere and start looking for similar artists, and they expand their own realm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
to kind of keep that going. Like there was one where they did the Bee Gees, Night Fever, and the guy kept saying, he goes, "They're white? No, this guy's not white." It's like, no, they're white. Wait, what?
Yeah,
like young kids, like early 20s or something, like our age, And I've saying, like, I can't believe they're white.
I've seen a lot of guys who I know these songs. I hear them at my family gatherings. I've been hearing them my whole life, but I had no idea what they look like.
Right. Yeah.
And that I believe. I mean,
no, that I believe too. But again, it opens it up.
That nobody has heard I'm All Right because Caddyshack.
Caddyshack isn't like a. That's not the movie all the kids are watching. The kids are watching Ferris Bueller's Day Off
for us, but
in the Breakfast Club. They're not going.
And by the way, when we say kids, we're talking late 40s.
No. What I'm saying is, if you're going to go back and watch an 80s movie, Caddyshack isn't the first movie on your list. The first movie on your list is probably like Vacation or The Breakfast Club for iconic films.
Well, and by the way, for what
I go with that.
Michelle was out one night, I think for a couple of days, and I had the kids, went out, had the good dinner, came home, and I said, we're watching movies. What are we watching? We watched Caddyshack, Old School, and I think we just started Stripes, and they just kind of fell asleep. And I'm like, what, you're not loving Caddyshack? They're like, I don't really get it. I'm like, what's there not to get? This is hysterical.
Caddyshack has weird pacing.
I think it's our
generation. Not as good as you remembered it, I don't think. There's great parts.
It's a guy movie that you quote. Like, if you're at a golf course, you don't say, it's a Cinderella story. He's about 103 yards from the hole. It's Cinderella. Oh, he got out of that club. Oh, he got out.
Shack is like Monty Python.
The Cinderella moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Monty Python.
We're here at the Masters. He will wear green.
Sometimes it's so incredibly silly. You're like, well, this is just silly. And then somebody else will watch the same scene and think it's hilarious because it's silly. That kind of shit like that. But no, I don't know. I was just making a comment about, I was trying to make the I guess, comparison to when we're playing out and we play that song that, I don't know, maybe you don't play all the time. But it's requested and it's from the 70s or the 80s or something. And you see these teenagers come out to it, like, kind of like, hey, what is this? That's neat.
It is cool.
So if you're going to be that guy, if you're going to make those memories and create those moments, do it with the best sound possible. That's all. Make it sound good. It makes, it's a better presentation of anything,
Sure. To give someone something that they never heard before too, like with Elizabeth too. I mean, to experience, for us to live vicariously for a song that we've maybe played 400 times and they're hearing it for the first time, we can remember what it was like to first drop the needle on a Rush album.
Mm-hmm. That's what's fun. Yeah.
Well,
so we can
Pharrell Williams, his track that Just a Cloud Away, I heard it on TikTok. I looked, it's like Pharrell Williams, Just a Cloud Away. I go on YouTube, I find it, and I'm raving about it in the chill room. And like out of 7 people in the chill room, 6 are going, yeah, that's from that movie. I'm like, what? What movie? From like 10 years ago. I'm like, wait, how did I miss this song? Like, how did this not get on my radar? This sounds like the Beach Boys, sounds like Only God Knows meets this. Like, it's a killer song. And I'm like, I'm playing it like at every wedding now during cocktail or dinner just to kind of get a vibe. And I'm like, how did this escape me? And that's kind of the fun for me as a DJ, is to still learn and find new things. Like Astronaut in the Ocean early. So I suddenly found kids were like, oh man, this is great. And I'm like, oh wait, I'm tapping into what the kids like. I guess I got to focus, because I was never a focus on the kids guy. I was never like, I got to have Cardi B's newest song because the kids want it. But now I'm seeing a need to be able to say, you know what, where I would normally play 24 Karat Magic into Justin Timberlake, Can't Fight the Feeling. Mm-hmm. Now I'm going 24 Karat Magic into About Damn Time into Justin.
Welcome to another edition of Jay Butcher's song titles.
What? Which one did I butcher? 24 Karat Magic.
Butcher.
Can't Fight the Feeling.
Can't Stop the Feeling.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah. Okay. What was the next one?
Typing.
He uses very few words in his Serato searches. just a couple of letters together.
You know that song Buffalo Stampede. Play that one. It's a good one.
That's a great one.
I remember a DJ saying that to me. One of the older DJs when I was out, in what was that, 89 or whatever. Yeah, play that Buffalo Stampede song. The kids love it. I'm like, all right, we'll play the Buffalo Stampede.
We'll play that slow song from Ghost all the time. It's really good.
Yeah. Well, at least there is a slow song from Ghost. You know what that is.
That's what DJs would say to me. I'm like, start with like Unchained Melody. They're like, what's that? I'm like, oh, the Righteous Brothers is great.
So you wouldn't say play that slow song from Ghost. You'd say,
no, they did. They're like,
you would say play that song from Roadhouse, that slow one. What slow one from Roadhouse? The one with Patrick Swayze. Well, you mean Ghost? Yeah, Ghost, Roadhouse, whatever. Patrick Swayze, same thing.
She's like the wind. That one.
Google search.
Well, that was Dirty Dancing.
Yeah,
looking up the OST.
You just can't win.
Yeah,
it's okay. We still love you.
At the end of the day,
we do.
You still screw by it.
You're Common Core. I'm not. You're Common Core music. You've got to have it exact and show your work. I'm the other way around. What's 10% of 50? 5. Go.
Artistic liberty is on your song title.
How'd you get to the answer? Dude. I don't know, but I'm here. I got it right. Don't ask me how I got here.
What's the latitude? I have no idea, but I showed up at the bar on time, didn't I? Doesn't matter the latitude, longitude. I arrived.
So you don't do new math. You just drop the 0 on the 50 and it's $5.
Hey, I understand misunderstanding song titles. I thought of one, because I'm thinking back about what was it like when I first heard this song and that song. I thought of one that I remember hearing for the first time, and I misunderstood the lyrics for many, many years. And I felt really stupid when I found out what they were really saying. And of course, in the 70s, things were a little different. Jeremiah was a bullfrog. That was perfectly normal. Alligator lizards in the air. Yep, fine. Okay, there are alligators.
Lamb Lies Down on Broadway.
Fine. Yeah, fine. It's fine.
Why is the lamb on Broadway?
So there was a song on the radio that I used to like called He's a Woman.
It's a metaphor.
He's a Woman. I thought that was a really good song. It turns out the name of the song is actually Evil Woman by ELO. But I was hearing He's a Woman. Da-da-da. I thought it was about like Lola. I thought that's what the song was about.
Oh, wow.
What's the Scorpions one?
Wow.
He's a Woman? Is there a He's a Woman by the Scorpions?
I don't know.
I think there is. There's like a track off Animal Magnetism. I think it's called like, He's a Woman. It's like one of their bigger early tracks.
Wow, I'm not aware of that.
Like late 60s Scorpions, like He's a Woman.
Late 60s Scorpions.
Wow. Oh, believe it or not. Yeah, they were around then.
I knew they would go back. I didn't know good about that.
Did the dude look like a lady?
Well, I was a young man by then.
Yeah, you can thank what's his face Desmond Child for all that crap Aerosmith tracks. That
Evil Woman
bangers.
I was like probably in diapers when Evil Woman came out. But anyway, I thought he's
a great track.
I'd forgotten all about that misunderstood lyric.
Yeah, once you buy the record and you got the liner notes inside, you can. Oh, that's what.
But see, what's funny is, do you do this, Brian? Like, do you consciously think of other songs? Like when you said He's a Woman, I went to Scorpions. Then when you clarified it with like Evil Woman, I went to Cliff Richard's Devil Woman.
Oh, that was one of my favorite songs.
Like it's like tic-tac-toe or something with music. Like you say this song and my brain automatically flexes to, oh, wait, Scorpions had like She's a Man and He's a Woman or some weird track. Then you go, no, it's Evil Woman. I'm like, oh, Cliff Richard's Devil Woman. That was a
Devil
great
Woman was a jam.
It's like I just saw a Scorpion kind of.
Yeah.
Beatles, She's a Woman was a jam.
Not a scorpion.
We go back.
I just saw a squirrel. No, I just saw.
I am like, I don't know, Cliff Richard. Not like a huge hit maker in America like he was in the UK.
UK.
He's like still like Elvis over there.
Yeah, he was a god. But
between Devil Woman
is such a good song.
We Don't Talk Anymore, Carrie, and Dreamin', he's my dude. Just those songs alone, he's my dude.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He was on Solid Gold. Remember Solid Gold?
Yeah, those are great videos.
Yeah, they are great videos.
It just proves that the only British person who can dance is George Michael. The rest of them cannot, including...
No, they can't. No. But like nothing was plugged in. It was obviously canned. They cut songs down to 2 minutes and they had the stupid dance. Like Molly Hatchet was on and they had the stupid Solid Gold dancers trying to do something to flirt and to
going through the line, right?
The Molly Hatchet show kind of got like that too.
That's why that show only lasted a couple of years.
Yeah, that was bad.
Everybody was laughing at it.
By the way, side note, there's a new documentary coming out on that I'm actually interested to see on Andy Gibb.
Oh wow!
Yeah, like a kind of biopic piece. So
they just did the How Do You Mend a Broken Heart Bee Gees story, and there's a lot of Andy Gibb in that.
Right, and this is going to focus really just on Andy Gibb, I guess. Part of it's like his relationship with Victoria Principal and all that. And
I just want to be everything: Shadow Dancing, Solid Gold.
Love is thicker than.
Thanks for watching.
Love is thicker than water, and blood is thicker than water. And
was the other one? And he did a duet with somebody too.
Yeah.
Medieval Woman is what Lori's saying. She thought it was Medieval Woman, and it could Medieval Woman. That could absolutely get that.
You could play that at Renaissance Fair all day long.
Right. This one
is a Ren Fair song.
Yeah, there you go.
He's a woman. I kept thinking. My brother used to tease me, about you're being shut up. You're being a girl or whatever, basically. So that's what I thought it was. He was like, wasn't a tough guy. He's more like a chick than a.
Oh.
Like it was, picking on a guy for being less than masculine kind of thing, but not in a sexual way, more in a you got your butt kicked way.
Yes.
Kind of thing. Anyway.
Like cigarettes under the sleeve of the t-shirt, a black leather jacket with a pop collar.
Yeah, something like that. So there's something else I wanted to bring up. And I did a video on it and I got some really odd comments.
Really?
I guess I saw
DJ community.
I guess I saw him coming.
Oh my God!
I guess I saw him coming. Jay's going to be a real interesting one to talk about with this, though, because I think Jay will probably have some things to say.
As always,
might.
So let me give you the premise here. All right. I think it was probably 2018. The Democrats announced that they had selected Milwaukee to be where they were going to hold a Democratic National Convention.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I remember that.
Right. You remember that. Okay.
Yeah.
So what happened was the city went nuts with construction projects and hotels and road projects. And we were working on, at the time, we were finishing up our arena for the Bucks where they won the championship and put the Deer District together, making it really nice because it was like, it's an opportunity to showcase your city.
I remember this.
And
I remember you talking about this way back.
Right. What they were saying was, at the time, there was an estimated $200 million they're going to be sprinkling on the city within a 3-day period.
Oh, yeah.
It's up for grabs.
Mm-hmm. Big bucks.
That's hotel. And at the time, I was thinking to myself, okay, well, yeah, we could get involved with some official stuff, some candidate stuff or whatever, but maybe it would be even more fun to just get involved with local bars and clubs who are going to be open and going to need entertainment.
Sure.
Maybe that's the way to cash in on this. It doesn't have to be an official party. It could just be because the hotels and the restaurants are going to be cashing in.
Right.
Sure. Well, COVID happened. So that didn't happen because, of course, we were all in lockdown. Well, Friday, the news is reporting that it's not set in stone, signed official, but it looks like, and I think it has been since, it looks like the Republicans have selected Milwaukee for the Republican National Convention in 2024.
Amount of guns you guys have, I'm not surprised.
See, I knew Jay would take it someplace. My point was simply that, look, this is an opportunity to make some money. This is an opportunity to go out and work. Right. I remember back in the 90s, as an example, I was working at Safe House downtown. Now, the club is open 5 days a week. It's a restaurant, Sunday through Thursday, but Friday, it's a club. We have a dance floor. There's a DJ. We got a person at the door. We got bouncers, the whole bit. But otherwise, they're like, just cooking until 9 and the kitchen closes and they close. Mm-hmm. So during Summerfest, which was an 11-day music festival at the time, we were open all the time. And we had DJs all the time. So, because it was packed, we overflow from Summerfest coming in. Mm-hmm. And not only with the people who were, took off work that week or whatever, coming in and hanging out with us who had attended Fest, but we also got bands in there, like major acts came in there. I met a lot of different people, different bands and stuff. It was fun. That was just the place they went. So, I made money that week. The club made money that week. The restaurant made money that week. And a lot of people in town made money that week. It was the same thing with something that we had that was called Gen Con. And the best way for me to describe Gen Con is, well, Jay, it's kind of like Comic-Con in San Diego.
Yeah.
I don't know who has Gen Con now, but we lost it because somebody built a better convention center, but we had it for years. And when Gen Con was in town, we were open. I was DJing every night. We had capacity crowds. Everybody was cool. Everybody made money. They tipped heavy, everything else. So, I'm presenting this as, hey, this is a really good thing. When conventions come to your town, you don't have to think about the official stuff. You can just, some of this pickup stuff. That was the story in the video. But of course, a lot of people got personal about it with the politics. Well, I wouldn't do that, or anything that supports this or this, or I wouldn't, work for a cause that does this, or I don't know if I'd want to mess with that. And it got me thinking about, what wouldn't I do? Like an organization comes to town, they need my services. Where do I draw the line on this? Because obviously,
I have a line.
Well, everybody does.
Yeah.
But and there's obvious lines. Like, okay, fine. The Klan's having a rally. They want you to DJ it. Maybe you don't do that one.
No.
Okay. I don't do anything that's racial.
And I don't do anything that's criminal.
Well, yeah, as long as
if you had an organization that was openly criminal, I consider racism and criminal behavior to be kind of not the same activity, but they fall into the same thing. Now, I will say this that may shock you, but everyone's got a price. I was approached to DJ at a nudist camp, and they said I did not have to be nude. And I was like, oh, okay. And then it became, oh, we found another DJ who is more understanding of our lifestyle. And it became a back and forth on the money. And what they finally just said was, is there a price for you to show up here and DJ nude? And I'm like, 100% there is. Like, I'd do that in a heartbeat. Like, where are you going to hide the camera? Like, I'm not really worried.
Yeah.
Like, that wouldn't bother me.
You're behind the booth. So,
I mean, I've DJ'd in adult clubs. I've DJ'd a couple adult parties. I've DJ'd one insane party where I was approached by someone who said, hey, the host bought you a blank. Do you want to come over and get it now? And I was like, I'm DJing.
no.
They said you could just play background. That's how specific it was. And I'm like, I have a girlfriend. So I didn't.
And I don't have STDs.
Nor did I that night.
And I'm going
I could have
without both.
Right.
But I think, and I understand the political. And really quick, when I did CES 3 or 4 years ago, I got a call at CES from a client of mine who said, hey, are you available in 2 weeks? And I'm like, what's the date? Here's the date. I am. It was a Friday. I was available. Great. I just found out I'm being sworn in as the newest U.S. attorney from the Southern District of California. I've been appointed by the president. And I'd love you to DJ my swearing in party. It'll be at this big hotel, 250 people, Secret Service, marshals, all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, cool. And I got off the phone, and the next day I went into CES, and there was a director, not from Pioneer DJ, but from Pioneer Electronics, because that's who hired me for CES. And he goes, what'd you do last night? I'm like, oh, I went out, drank, did this, did this. He goes, oh, I got hired for a cool gig. Oh, yeah, what? I said, a buddy of mine called me. I've done a bunch of his parties. His wife is a retired federal judge. She just retired last year, and he's a former DA. And he just got, he's being sworn in as the newest U.S. attorney. He was just appointed by the president, and he's having a swearing in party. And before I can say anything else, he goes, well, I hope you said no. And I was like, excuse me? He goes, I hope you told him, no, I'm not doing your party. I'm like, why in the fuck why would I ever say that?
PG rating.
I know. I said, why would I ever say that? Because I was angry at the time. And he goes, well, because of the president and this and this and this. I go, what does that have to do with me getting paid to DJ a 3-hour party?
Right.
He's like, by DJing it, you're saying you align yourself with the politics. I said,
No, it doesn't. No.
I never do. I never talk religion, and I never talk politics.
No.
I would DJ for anybody at any time if it made sense. If I have to be a poster child, it doesn't matter who you are. I'm not doing it.
Well, yeah, I think it's
for the Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, whoever. Let's make sense event. Sure.
Let's put you in Fantasyland, Jay. Let's just say that you are the lead guitar player for Aerosmith. Okay. And that's who you're known as, not as DJ Jay Brannon from Brand Entertainment, but Jay,
the guy from Aerosmith.
And they asked you to play at some inaugural ball. That would be different because that's a brand. But I feel like as DJs, and I don't know if it's fortunate or unfortunate, but we're kind of a generic commodity in that regard.
We're chameleons.
Yeah. We have to be. We
have to be by definition. Yeah. We have to be able to do a bar mitzvah on Friday, a quinceanera on Saturday, and a wedding on Sunday. You can't accomplish that without being multiversed and multi-skilled. Right. And with that multiverse and multi-skilled level of talent comes the ability to do any event. You're not asking me to get on the mic and say I support or like this candidate, are you? No, we just want you to play music. Got it.
So,
got it.
John, have you ever experienced anything like this where you've had to, go in and do something for an organization that was political?
For specific groups, I just try to stay away from anything that goes against brand. Anything that could come back and hurt you, anything that's going to prevent someone else from picking up the phone and calling you. So if that's your big Facebook banner, as I'm up here at this place and 50% of the population doesn't like that, I mean, that might be a reason why you don't get called.
It's polarizing.
Yeah. I just try to
that's not publishing the photo, John, too, right?
Mm-hmm. Right. I mean,
you might not say anything about it, and that just might be something you just do on the quiet, and you collect the money, and you made a paycheck, and you move on with it.
You know what I found? And this has been just across the board. And I tell you where I first found this. I have found that there is a certain, and I don't know, Jay, if you experienced this or not, but there really seems to be a certain respect amongst service providers and vendors for events.
Yes.
There's a certain respect. And I tell you where I first experienced this, and it blew my mind. I'm not ashamed to say this. I am not religious, and we'll leave it at that.
Right.
But I do a lot of events where there are people of the cloth or clergy who are involved. And, of course, they're officiating the wedding. Perhaps they're there to give a speech or a toast or something.
Mm-hmm.
The conversations I've had with some of these priests, oh my gosh. And I know that this priest is not talking to his congregation or anyone in this priest's congregation like he's talking to me because of the 4-letter words he's using and because of the stories he's telling me. I'm hearing stuff that nobody knows.
And that joke about the priest, the rabbi, and the minister in the rowing boat, that's a classic.
Oh, it's a classic.
I'll tell you a story that I remember that I really like if you want to hear it. I thought it was pretty good. I remember this one priest, and I remember walking up to him and I said, yeah, it's a strange business we're in, isn't it? He says, oh, yeah. He says, but I used to do what you do. I'm like, really? He's like, well, sort of. I was moonlighting on a local radio station. Like, really?
Oh, wow.
He says, yeah, I got in trouble, though. I said, what do you mean you got in trouble? He's like, well, I love rock and roll music. I was in the seminary. I love rock and roll music. And one of my friends that worked at the station knew I loved rock and roll, and they needed like a nighttime guy to come in and do the night shift, just play music. So I had a fake name and, I had a fake persona, and he actually impersonated, he did a spiel. Hey, it's so-and-so, so-and-so. It was actually pretty impressive. This whole spiel he had, so nobody knew it was me, but I would moonlight at this radio station, and it was tons of fun, and I loved it. He said, and it was back in the old days, when the radio station was on Main Street, and I'd go in the studio and I'd work, and it was great. I loved it. I said, and then one day I got a call. It was morning actually, and a friend of mine said, hey, look, somebody called in sick. We need a fill-in for this afternoon. Can you come in? I said, well, yeah, sure. I guess I can come in, So he went in there and he said, I sat down, I got on the mic and I did my, hey, it's, Crazy Johnny or whatever he called himself. I'm doing this thing. And I dropped like a Supremes track and I'm dancing around, having fun. And I'm actually in my, my seminary garb. And I turn around and I realize that there's a window on Main Street and the curtains open during the day so people can watch the DJs. And here they are seeing the seminary priest dancing around to Supremes, all these old ladies in purses, just kind of, giving really nasty looks because he's listening to rock and roll.
Collection. Yes.
I love that story. And I keep thinking, if I ever write a movie, I'm going to write that into my movie. That's going to be like a flashback scene or something in the movie, because that's such a cool image and story.
There's a lot of people that that have gone on to do big things that at some point in their lives were either in the seminary considering going religious.
Oh, yeah. I know people.
Yeah.
One of my best pals went to seminary. Yeah.
You got to be human. And I think when you lose the humanity and it makes things very difficult. And
well, he was talking about the 1960s,
Well, and it was a much different time.
It was a different time.
60s were coming up, Baltimore Catechism, Vatican II, where you went from priests wearing all black and doing the funeral mass with their back turned in Latin to now this more wearing white. And it was just a very different world. It was a very scary time. And then it became more like, no, you don't have to be so scared of it, But I grew up in Boston, and John will tell you, I mean, growing up in Boston and being Catholic is like saying, I grew up on the planet Earth and I was breathing air. It's
Right. Yeah.
like,
Right. You can't throw a Bible from one church without hitting another church in Boston.
right. Yeah. Yeah. You know, I mean, my buddy Jimmy to this day still kills me. I'd say something about, oh no, he's not Hawaiian, Jimmy. He's Samoan. Same church, different pew. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Whatever. But yeah, it's one of those things where, you know, I'll be honest, maybe once every few years I'm faced with making a critical decision. I remember years ago, I had a woman call me about hiring me to DJ her wedding. Hey, my friend hired you or something. And I'm like, oh, who's your friend? Oh, and Katie, I think. And like, she was talking really quick. I think it was a scam, but she gave me a date and I was available. And she goes, I just have to clarify one thing. You don't play any, and she said the N-word music. And I'm like, excuse me?
Yeah.
And I'm like, and my brain started rushing, going, you're being taped. This is a scam. Really choose your words cautiously. And I said, well, I got to be honest. That word really offends me. And I don't know where it falls into music. You know what I mean? I don't want to hear any N music. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not a good fit for your event. I'm really sorry. So you're going to play N. And she kept reiterating. And I said, you have a great day. If you need other names, by all means, let me know. And I hung up. And no one ever called me. But to this day, I'm convinced some DJ was either pranking or busting my chops or something. There was some white supremacy woman out there that was establishing day one with her vendors, hey, this is the ground rules. And that's fine. Everyone deserves a great wedding, but I may not be a good fit for every event.
Yeah, I mean that's a given. I mean, I've turned down events before where I was like, you know what, I'm not your dude.
I live in Racine. I'm sorry, I'm booked.
I'm sorry, I'm booked. But I've done so many. I mean, like I said, I'm not religious. Okay, so I don't have a horse in the race, but I've done so many, events for churches and religious groups and different denominations and all kinds of stuff. Not only the wedding receptions, but the actual events for the church themselves. I've done Catholic school stuff. I don't care.
You had that high school that was Catholic. Huh? Remember? Wasn't that high school you kept doing Catholic?
No, Arts Kids School is Catholic, and I have no problem doing that. I've done,
but I'm saying you've done a bunch of them, and I don't think but I don't think that aspect of it comes into play with what we do sometimes. Well, I think we overthink it.
That's what I'm trying to get at, though. I mean, that's what I'm trying to say. Just because it's not something that you necessarily agree with or subscribe to or anything else, professionally, you're respected as a professional to come in and provide a service,
right?
And they don't say, oh, by the way, are you Catholic? They don't do that.
Oh.
They don't ask.
They wouldn't ask you to doctor's
We don't
office.
talk about theology.
Yeah.
We're not talking about theology. When I do same-sex weddings, they're not asking me if I'm gay or bi or anything else. They need a DJ.
Right. They may tell you what they're doing to kind of quantify and qualify your feelings, because there are certainly DJs I know who are very nice individuals. They wouldn't do a gay wedding for $1 million.
That's interesting.
So out of their wheelhouse that they just want nothing to do with it. And I get that.
That's just another chameleon shape we turn into,
I have one
rainbow colored one.
Yeah. It's like that's what I kind of hated when it became legal out here, John. So many companies started throwing rainbow flags up on their website, like, oh, we're very behind you. And it's like, dude, you asked me 6 months ago if I would take a wedding off your hands because you couldn't do it. Now you're suddenly rainbow friendly. How did that come up?
I have people qualify me just to make sure that I'm cool with it. And you know what?
And I don't blame them.
You know what? I respect that. They don't have to do it. Have I had surprise gay wedding? Yeah, I have. It's happened.
Where you get like Robin and Tim, and you're like, oh, it's a guy and a girl.
Yeah, and it's two girls. I didn't know. But who cares? I don't care.
I don't know a lot of Tims. I'm thinking.
But you know what's funny about it? It was a referral from a friend, and my friend knew I was cool with it. So he probably said, he doesn't care.
No, he doesn't care.
And they didn't mention it, and I just need to ask. And done. It happened. It happened. That was the one in Racine I did where the bum came up. I didn't know until like right before.
Right.
Because I was dealing with the mom the whole time.
Yeah.
And right before, it's like, okay, oh, all right, cool. So it was kind of a surprise.
I got hired by 2 girls to do a wedding, and I didn't know they were the 2 girls till halfway through the meeting when one of them asked me a question that really didn't make sense. And I'm like, well, once I get, that's really more something I want to talk to the groom about. And she kind of looked cockeyed at me, and she's like, what do you mean? I said,
the what?
You're getting married. I go, wait, you 2 are? She goes, yeah. I go, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize that. I thought you were her friend. And she goes, and the redeeming thing was the coordinator at the hotel, which was in San Diego, the gay hotel that I was resident DJ for like 12, 15 years. When I talked to him the next day, he's like, did you meet like Carol and Susan? I'm like, yeah. He goes, I didn't know they were gay. They came up to me and I'm like, oh, when they said we're getting married, he's like, oh, that's so awesome. 2 weddings amongst friends. That's so great. Blah, 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 blah. And they're like, no, to each other. He's like, you're gay? He's gay. He didn't know they were gay. So I'm straight.
Right.
No way I could have picked up on it, I guess.
Sure. Well, it's been my, how can I say this? I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I don't care. But I respect the fact that
the best job you can.
I respect the disclosure, and the reason I respect the disclosure is not because I want to necessarily, I have to know or I have to be able to agree or disagree, because I'm going to go with it either way. But because with my disability, I tell people, I disclose that. I don't have to. I don't have to say, oh, by the way, I'm disabled. I hope that's not a problem. I don't have to say that. I mean, I can just do it and they get to find out. But I don't like surprises. And I don't want them to have a surprise about some guy staggering in on a bad day when I've had a bad day. I'm not drunk. And that's why I tell them, like, I just want you to know this.
Right.
That's why it's so important to me that I get everything down on your timeline correct, because it would be very difficult for me to make corrections on the fly. So I want everything to be right and prepared ahead of time. And also, if you happen to see me stagger or walk funny, I'm not intoxicated. and I laugh about it. But some people are like, oh, well, why are you even telling me this? You don't have to say this. And other people are say, hey, thanks. It's not obviously we don't have a problem with it, but thank you for letting us know. It's nice not to have surprises.
But I think them letting you know is to their credit, because let's face it, you're going to get vendors that don't want to be there when they get there.
Yeah.
Nothing worse than finding out, you know what, if I had my option to do this event or not do it again, I wouldn't do it. So I would much rather someone was up front with me and said, hi, I'm marrying the love of my life. His name is Jim. My name is John. Okay, great. Versus, I'm getting married. Oh, congratulations. Blah, 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 blah. Whatever the conversation is.
There are a lot of things that I just don't understand. And I just can't.
Doesn't matter to me.
I cannot comprehend homosexuality, bisexuality. I can't comprehend certain political points of view. I can't comprehend certain theological points of view, but that doesn't mean I don't respect them. It doesn't mean that I can't live with you. And it doesn't mean that I can't provide you a service.
Right.
Right. One thing's got nothing to do with the other. You respect me. I respect you. That's just how I do things. A lot of people feel different about it, and that's fine.
Right.
It's
and
fine.
You've done school events.
I'm not judging anybody.
No, but I've had school events tell me up front, yeah, this is for a Christian high school, which they're just setting the ground rules of, and automatically it's a game of tennis. Like they hit the ball to me going, we're a Christian high school. Okay. So I only play edited music. It's all radio friendly. And I do my best to stay away from, as I do my best to stay away from any content that I wouldn't want to have my kids who are teenagers hear either.
I'm certainly glad you told me it was a Catholic school, because I would have played WAP otherwise.
Well, you know what? Sadly, in our amazing, unlicensed, unchecked profession, we have a good friend, I won't name names, who put a video up of him doing a high school, and he played probably 3 songs in the video that I'm like, nope, would have never played that one. Wouldn't have played Shots by Little John. Nope.
Well, I feel personally that you take it to extreme.
I do. I do.
And I wouldn't do WAP. I'd probably do Shots. I probably would. I mean, it's not like I'm telling these kids to do Shots. It's not like, it's the whole Ozzy Osbourne thing where, the kids killed themselves because they listened to Ozzy. That's stupid. It was stupid then. It's still stupid. It's the same thing. It's just a different Howie, are you having a hard time over there? You all right?
No, I've been raising my hand. You said it's every man for himself.
It is. You got to be more aggressive, dude.
You know, well, it's hard. With the
so anyway.
Now I already said the only two things that I wouldn't do. You know.
Yeah.
But getting back to the original thing about the political, right now is the midterms. And there's a possibility. I was approached by local guy that's a city council, and they're having a party. So it's not just every 4 years,
right?
Or the city you're in. Anybody can do this, and they do have parties. And one of the things, and even when I get checked, background checked for the presidential things, I've done the same golf course where they had Republicans and Democrats there, and they don't know anything. I'm like Brian, I'm very private about religion, politics, everything. Years ago, as a business decision, I decided to register as an independent. So when they do a background check, they don't see me. If they're, let's say, one party and I'm a member of another party, I get passed over. They see I'm independent, I get hired.
It's funny you mentioned that. I remember I used to do, and I haven't done it for a long time, but I used to do this annual picnic for a community on the North Shore of Milwaukee, where, I would go and they would Have we're all about like bratwurst and stuff here with the German thing. So Tim Usinger from Usinger Sausages, he would provide all the bratwurst. He would bring them all. He would be there cooking them. This guy whose great grandfather started Usinger, sausage. And I think there might have been somebody from maybe the Miller family there providing beer. It was a big deal. It was a nice community.
Wow.
And I did it for a couple of years. And one year that I did it, and there was always a guy I dealt with, and he was very nice. And I knew he was some elected official, but I didn't know who. One year I did it, all of a sudden they had candidates come up and give a spiel on the microphone.
Yeah, I've had that. Yeah.
And I never thought about it. I was like, you know what? This is a political thing I'm doing. And they were not a party that I would vote for.
Right.
But I didn't care. It was like, oh, okay, I guess we're doing this.
Yeah. All you needed was the pillow guy there with some insane theories, Again, I don't care. I don't really care. There's nobody out there who thinks exactly like me. And I have no, I have no.
There is, Brian, but there's
anybody feeling the same way.
A gun and a flag.
If you really want to take this, to an extreme, when you go and purchase commodities, do you find out, like, of course, everybody knows about Chick-fil-A, but I mean, do you go to the mom and pop stores and find out what their religion, their politics are? No, you just like their food and you go there and you buy it because you like it, and that's that's what I want to be. I want to be that little mom and pop. Yeah. They just like me and they don't care and they don't know.
Well, that's ideally. I mean, some people just can't help themselves and they have to contribute and be active in and all that and whatever. But yeah, I don't pay attention to that stuff.
I think the bigger issue for me is the amount of loudmouth. And coming out of me, that probably makes no sense, but you'll see what I mean.
It doesn't.
No, you're not a loudmouth like certain people we know.
You go on my 13 years of being on Facebook, and I defy you to find out what I vote for.
Exactly.
I got $1 million says you can't find a post I've ever put up on social media that tells you who I support or who I vote for. But I'll be damned.
You know what?
Well, now this show, on the other hand,
I'm going to hire a guy.
Still not that. No, I try my best to skate.
You fail.
Jay, you made a challenge.
You're very transparent.
You made a challenge, and I am going to hire a guy for $100,000 to
go
make
right ahead
a deep fake, and then you're going to have to pay me the.
I will write you a check, Howie.
Yep, and
I'm
then
just telling you,
900.
I'm flabbergasted every time there's a political issue. how many DJs just don't have the common sense to just keep their damn mouth shut and get off Facebook and go, I can't stand fill in the blank political figure. It's like, you know what? One, nobody cares what
nobody cares.
Music
and
boy.
You're not gonna change.
Go back and play me the Cupid Shuffle and shut up. That's one. Two, do you want to alienate all of the business? It goes back to the famous story. The bull and his son. DJs are like the sun. They want to run down the hill and talk to one cow.
You're talking about that old movie.
I'm like the dad.
Colors.
I want to walk down the hill and talk to every cow.
You didn't screw it up.
Every client.
I see what you're doing. Instead of using the...
You even PG'd it?
Too. Oh, I totally...
Shit, you G'd it.
I like that.
I totally G'd it. But here's the deal. Yeah. I take a lot of pride in my ability to play music for any group, anytime, anywhere. And I want to be tested by that. So I want to do a Democratic event, a Republican event, a Libertarian event. I'm great with... I played on 420. For those of you that may or may not realize this, I don't use anything on 420. I don't go to these shops. I've done 3 straight years of DJing very successfully for thousands of people that are partying their brains out because it's 420. I played the music that they've partied to. Yeah. I don't have to do what they do to play the music. To me, it's just a challenge. Well, that's being a good DJ.
Other point, Jay, Swiss Army knife. Where I try to get a word in edgewise, when that guy said, don't play any N-word music.
Right.
I was actually doing an active event, and I was playing old, new, and it was all ages, big community thing. And the one guy came up to me, this biker guy, and said, his exact words, I can say, he says, can you stop playing this jungle music and put the classic rock back on? This is bullshit. And I went, security. They came.
What can I tell you? I'm from the Midwest. I've heard this all before too. I mean,
no, but I had the guy removed. Just like that. Boom.
I think we live in a very fairy tale world sometimes of like, hey, it's just about the music. We're DJs. This is so much fun. But the reality is there's a lot of moving pieces, and there's a lot of attitudes, and there's a lot of, things that go into humanity now, and it's got to come out. In a perfect world, we'd all be viewed as top-end professionals making thousands of dollars a day, and we'd all be happy with money in retirement, paying for college, doing this, this, and this. But we screwed up ourselves. And my only advice to DJs is always the same.
Not some of us. One of us has bought an airplane for themselves.
Well, that's true. But, and that guy's obviously not only a handsome, intelligent man, but obviously...
that's true.
No, but I mean, just stay the hell away from putting up the topics that go against the grain of what you do for a living, unless that's what you want to do. If you want to alienate, because by saying I won't do this fill in the blank politician, what you're doing is alienating everyone that may have voted for them.
I'm a live and let live guy.
Yeah, 100%.
That's
100%.
And I, most of the people that I know, most everyone that I know does not think like me on those sorts of topics. And I'll give you some examples of some of the people who do not think like me on those topics. Blanca, my daughter, my mother, all 3 of my siblings, my best friend, we don't think the same, but you don't have to.
No, you don't have to at all.
Not in the free world, man. I mean, as much as I may not like or agree with your opinion, it doesn't mean that I don't respect.
You have the right to have it,
and on a one-on-one basis, as long as I'm respected in return, we are all good.
Absolutely,
I'm good with it. I mean, and that's just what I want to say. I was talking about drawing that line. Where's it going to be? And it would have to be a pretty messed up situation to say no. I think
we're all human.
It would have to be pretty messed up.
And by the way, the one thing I support without fail is any man or woman's ability or decision to get money in the bank to put food on the table and keep a roof over their family's head. I don't care where you DJ or how. The fact that I started in a club that I wouldn't tell my kids about.
Right.
You know what?
You can now. I mean,
well, I'm almost there. And we'll have that meetup one day where I say, hey, kids, by the way.
Let me take you to where I used to work.
Yeah,
a lot of bulls walking down the hill real slow.
Yeah, oh, yeah. That's a different story altogether. But you know what? It was what it was.
Where we go.
But can I hate on it now? Why? Look where it got me. Here I am 27 years later. Living the dream based on what I learned there. Why would I ever hate on that?
I've worked in the clubs that you've worked in, granted, a couple times, one off here and there. I will tell you right now that you are a better man than I am because I couldn't do it. I was there and I couldn't wait to get out and I never wanted to come back. I did it twice. I did it twice.
Brian was, they said, you need to talk a lot. I'm like, that's going to be a struggle.
No, I mean, the announcements were fine. The music was fine.
Yeah.
The darkness wasn't fine. That was so 10
o'clock in the morning.
Where I was,
sun to pitch black. We didn't have a window in the place.
And I'm not talking about.
Oh no, I know the darkness you're talking about.
You know the darkness I'm talking about.
I'm commenting on. We didn't have a window, so
I'm not talking about light and dark. I'm talking about dark.
Oh, I would work 7-8 days in a row, and you couldn't tell what day it was or what time it was because you'd be like, I know it's 10:30 in the morning, but the club is going to look the same way at 2 a.m. when I'm closing. Because I do an open close, and you would literally just leave there like, what am I doing?
No windows, no clocks. Yeah.
Oh,
like a casino.
Casino.
It was bad. Well, you know what? It taught me a lot about people. It taught me a lot about how to be respectful to people that weren't like me.
Yeah,
and were different, and how to treat people and how to get the best result for what people wanted. And it's no different than weddings. Getting the best result for a bride and groom is knowing how to treat them and respect them and do what is best for them by what they tell you. Because if they tell you, hey, I'm desperate for money, but I got to hear Biggie. Okay, well, if you're desperate for money, you're going to hear the Stones. Why? Because those 7 guys right there are wearing shirts and ties. Just trust me. And if you're desperate to have your family dance, but you love Primus and Rush, well, you're going to hear Celebration and...
I was going to say Celebration.
Because that's what the crowd's going to dance to. And the memory is, which do you want? Do you want a jukebox and Spotify? Or do you want a memory? Well, I want a memory. Then just let me do my job.
I think we went over. So John's got a couple extra minutes of footage here. So we should wrap it up.
Maybe they can like spin it into a new show.
Yeah. We're really big in, what do you say, Guam? Which is a U.S. territory that's also fun. It's got to be somewhere like Guyana or...
it's not,
it's a military base.
I'm huge in...
podcasts of Guam. We're like
actually, I just found out the show is #1 in Armenia and Constantinople.
Very good.
Istanbul, Wisconsin.
Constantinople.
Yep.
By the way, I've got next week that an interview, a DJ who's, he's kind of a big deal. He's turning 104. He's still doing weddings. Maybe we can get him on the channel to do an interview. He's hip.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for.
I'm paying for that one.
We're done.
Happy Hanukkah, everybody.
Somebody cut Jay off. We can't do next week.